The author of this novel is Isaac Bashevis Singer. He was a Polish-born American writer of short stories, novels, and Yiddish essays. He was also the recipient of the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1978. He came from a family of a long list of rabbis. As a young man, after settling in New York, Isaac worked as a journalist for the Yiddish newspaper Vorwärts, and in 1943 he became a U.S. citizen. Some of his popular short stories include Gimple the Fool and Other Stories, The Street, Short Friday, A Crown of Feathers, National Book Award, Old Love, and The Image. The novel Enemies: A Love Story is about a man named Herman Broder who survived the Holocaust in a hayloft where he pretty much becomes detached from society and later flees to New York with his second wife Jadwiga, a Polish peasant who helped him survive from the Nazis during World War II in the hayloft. 3 years later in New York, Herman finds himself doing work for a rabbi and living in an apartment in Brooklyn with Jadwiga. And ironically, he is cheating on her with another woman named Masha, a very selfish, ranting individual. Herman basically lives two different lives. He spends half the time living with Masha and the other half with Jadwiga. One day at Masha's house, Herman sees an ad in the newspaper informing him to call a certain man immediately. He does so and learns from the man, Tamara's uncle, that Tamara, his first wife, surprisingly survived the Holocaust. However, their children did not. Ironically, now that she is alive and in New York, he has to lie and deceive not only Jadwiga but Masha too, by telling her that this mysterious woman he is seeing is actually a distant male relative. Sometime later, a man named Leon Tortshiner, Masha's ex-husband, wants to meet with him to warn him about Masha. Later, after Leon convinced him that Masha was not right for him, Herman decides he has had enough of her and becomes very spiritual, vowing to renounce all worldly ambitions and to become more involved in his Jewish faith. However, being the unstable person he is, Herman gives up on all his spirituality, which causes him to give in and marry Masha. One day, Herman gets a telephone call from Rabbi Lampert, his boss, telling him to meet him and Masha at her house that night. They meet and Rabbi Lampert ends up inviting them to a party. During this party, word gets out that Herman's dead wife, Tamara, is still alive and living in New York. Suddenly, Masha begins to question Herman, and she becomes very angry at him. He then evacuates the party and calls Tamara at a local cafeteria and spends the night with her. Soon after, Herman goes back to live with Jadwiga, but one night he gets another telephone call from Masha, who gives him an ultimatum, saying that she will either leave him forever if he doesn't meet her. So he does, and the next day, after they had returned to their own homes, Masha gets robbed by thieves, and her mother, Shifra Pua, suddenly dies. And lastly, the book ends with both Herman and Masha together in her apartment, contemplating on committing suicide. However, Herman later disappears, and Masha actually ends up killing herself. And Jadwiga ends up bearing a child from Herman and naming the baby Masha. Lies and deception, both from humans and things of this world, have the ability to completely decimate relationships and crush the human spirit. This is on page 30. Singer is writing through the point of view of Herman. During the war and in the years after, Herman had time enough to regret his behavior to his family, but basically he remained the same, without belief in himself or in the human race, a fatalistic hedonist who believed in pre-suicidal gloom. Religions lied, philosophy was bankrupt from the beginning. The idle promises of progress were no more than a spit in the face of the martyrs of all generations. So, basically, Herman, he's a very troubled individual. He's kind of, as I said earlier, detached from society. After spending all the time in the hayloft, literally isolated from everyone. And when he comes back, he's really, he says, early in the book, he says he's even a riddle to himself. He hates contact with other human beings. And so after he broke up with Masha, that was kind of the turning point when he said, okay, I'm going to try religion now. And another point that's made throughout the book is that God is not merciful. He can't be good. He must be a liar because the Bible says he's good. So why would he let the Holocaust happen? So he needs something to comfort him. And he's saying religions are useless. They lied. Philosophy is bankrupt from the beginning. Like I said in my theme earlier, his spirit is crushed. He has no hope. He's absolutely distraught. He's suicidal. That's why he wants to commit suicide at the end of the book. Because he thinks everything is a lie, just like God. This is the second piece of evidence. It's on page 25. Rabbi Lampert paused, then he said, I wanted us to be friends, but there's something about you that makes it difficult. I could help you a great deal, but you shut yourself out like an oyster. Shut yourself up like an oyster. What secrets are you hiding behind those proverbial 7 locks? This passage is a great example of my theme, which is lies have the ability to completely destroy relationships. Because as you see in this passage, well, previously, Rabbi Lampert is Herman's boss, and he wants to give Herman his number, and Herman keeps giving him the wrong number on purpose so he can't call him. And the rabbi is basically saying, why are you trying to shut me out? You're not letting me be your friend. He does the same kind of thing with Jadwiga. He actually works for this rabbi writing articles for him, but he's lying to Jadwiga and telling her that he is a book salesman, so he can go out for nights at a time without her suspecting anything. And on page 181, Jadwiga says to him, you made me pregnant and you go running to whores. You're not selling books, liar. As you can see, he's making people very angry, his wife, and this rabbi. And he's just ruining his friendships and relationships in the process. He can't literally maintain a relationship because he deceives people so much.